Hey, everybody, welcome back to Cedar with Strangers podcast, where we are here to have conversations about the things that we should, but we don't. And I'm your host, Shivawn, and I get to sit and chat with Whitney, who is really not a stranger, but we're going to get into it. So, welcome, Whitney. Look, welcome, friend.
Thank you, friend. I know I'm a friend of the show, not a stranger.
I cannot with you. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about something that we have been going back and forth about for I don't know. I was gonna say 6 to 7 business days, but that's a lie.
Six to
So,
seven business months.
so today's episode is all about low maintenance friendships. But
Mm.
before we get into that, I do want you to introduce yourself to everyone, and then I'm gonna ask you another like kind of icebreaker.
Okay. Well, hi everyone, and hello again to all the City with Strangers OGs. I'm City with Strangers #1 fan, so please know that I do hold that spot. It's my favorite podcast. I'm Whitney. I am an Alabama girl who is a creative. I do a lot of creative things. Um, and that's just kind of my life. I'm a musician, I'm a podcaster, I love media, all things creativity. And I really, really um, love to talk about kind of human nature in its kind of anthropological
Me
way.
too. Me too.
Um, because, I want people to be great. I believe in community. I believe in bringing people together, but also I'm just nosy and curious and I'm always people watching. So Siobhan Siobhan knew who to call for this particular episode because this is the deep dive that I like to go down.
And, and did. Oh, I just saw what you have. Future Arts Media. What's that?
Yeah, so I have decided to package all of my kind of like podcast shows, everything under one umbrella, which I'm calling FAM, Future Arts Media, which is kind of a two-pronged thing that I'm gonna roll out for my birthday. So y'all will hear it here first. Yeah, I'm really excited. I wanted to kind of give everything a home and a landing page because
Yeah.
mostly I have too many Instagram accounts and I just want to have one. So
Girl, we're
that's
we're
that on
not
that.
we're not even gonna go there. We're not gonna do that today. I'm just very observant, and I saw it underneath your name.
You
So
are.
for those of you who are going to be listening, it's under her name. I know you're like that was very random. Okay, so I want you to tell us one thing that you wish more people knew about you, but they don't know.
Oh, this is such a good question. Oh my goodness. Oh, so many things. I think probably the number one thing, it's funny that you asked me this. I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law earlier
Mhm.
as I was talking about something that I was working on. And I said that people really, really have to know me to know that I'm like silly and fun. I think most people think I'm serious. Um, which is funny because I'm the most unserious person you will ever meet. Like, if we get invited to a funeral or a serious
Don't sit by you.
situation, I'm the wrong person to sit by in church. I have a joke for literally everything you could think of. And so, yeah, I wish more people knew that I was just kind of more silly than I come across. My face is usually in thinking mode, but
Mhm.
I'm usually just thinking of a joke. Like nothing serious is going on up there.
I never see. I guess because so yes, I this like podcast is about bringing strangers together, but technically, I've only met Whitney once in real life,
True.
and that was at Cedar Strangers Dinner
Yeah.
in Atlanta. But we're not going to talk about Atlanta because you
We
know
don't
how I
talk about
feel
we don't talk about Bruno.
about Atlanta. So my introduction to you was really at the was it before the pandemic? Is that I don't even say pandemic. I say the pandemic.
No. It was after. It was after.
Or was it during? Was it like at the beginning?
I think it was like right when we were back outside. Like we had been locked up
No.
and then yeah, yeah. Atlanta was like we had been
No,
in
no,
the house.
no. When we first
Oh.
when we first
You're,
met.
you're right. We were in the house. We were in lockdown. You're right.
Yeah,
I blocked that out.
we were
Trauma.
in the yeah, we were in the pen like we were. I don't know if it was the beginning, but I know we did our time together because it was me, you, and Adiola.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how. Okay, so like point of reference, we met through a. I don't even know what Marlena's thing was called. It was a group. I'm just say group.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like a mastermind, I guess.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. So it was a mastermind. We met online, and that's how we started to become friends. So my point of reference for you is not serious. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Did I think you were serious at the beginning? Maybe. But I think I
Yeah.
like know like how much you like to laugh. So
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
overrides it. I can see though in real life that people would think that you were super serious, like day
Hmm.
to day.
I think
Because you
it's because
probably
I
I
like to talk about serious things. I
serious
really love
things.
to talk about, like, I'll be like, let's talk about
You're
space. And people are like, why are we
They're
talking
gonna
about
be like
space?
they're gonna be like, "No, no, thank you."
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so tell me if I came to Alabama, where are you taking me to eat or for like coffee? Because I try to find the hidden gems for Seated with Strangers. So where are we going?
Yeah. So that was such a really good that's a good question. I think if you come to Alabama, there is a lot of really good food in Alabama, contrary to popular belief. There's really, really good food here. Here in Birmingham, which is where I live, I would
Mhm.
probably um take you to a couple of places. There are some like hole in the walls sort of places that you just have to go to
I'm
while
here
you're
for it.
here. That's like a meet and three. So definitely some of those. There's a lot of them that kind of are around the city. But I think my favorite place to eat. I don't know if you love Italian, but I love Italian.
I do.
There's a yeah. Oh, we ate Italian in Atlanta.
And
I
did.
forgot. We did. So there's an Italian place that I love here called Bottega, and
Mhm.
it's vibey. A lot of people go there for pizza, but they've got really good kind of just traditional Italian food. But there's
Mhm.
an outdoor seating part that's just like under twinkly lights. There's a
You
Jenny's
know,
ice cream right next door. So you eat Italian, you go get Jenny's. It's the perfect vibe. I love it.
you know how I feel about outside and warmth.
I know. And I love to eat outside, surprisingly. It's my
Who
favorite way to
are
eat.
you? Who are
You
you?
know, a
Because you don't even
stranger.
like heat. You're a stranger because you don't even like heat.
I know, but eating outside is a top tier experience.
I listen. None of my friends want to do it. I have to like kind of bully them.
Mine too. Yeah, I do the same. I literally, if we decide where we're going to eat and it has outdoor, I prep the group chat. I go, we're sitting outside, guys. So like, bring your bug spray because this is an outdoor moment. If
And I
I'm
don't want to hear you fussing.
period.
Don't be fussing. Okay, so you know, but the strangers don't know. I'm a low key nerd. So I had all these ways that I was going to talk about this conversation, but I had to do some research. So a report published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships at the University of Kansas by Professor Jeffrey Hall has given us perspective on how long it takes to become a friend.
Hmm,
So, the report stated that it takes 50 hours for an acquaintance to become a friend,
hmm,
90 hours to become a good friend, and 200 hours to become a best friend. So that's
hmm.
like 20 to 50 hangouts with someone just to become a friend. So, how do you feel about that when you hear that in the world that we are in right now?
I feel like what was my cousin's name? Jeffrey Hall. Was that his name? Um I think Jeffrey
Yes,
doesn't know real people because I feel like people, and I say like he's probably right. I will say
hmm
that. But I think friend is such a loosely used word. I mean, I have to catch myself. I think I asked you this once before.
Hmm.
Like, do you feel awkward in front of someone calling them an acquaintance? Because I do. I feel like if I'm like introducing you to my mom and I'm like, this is my acquaintance, I think someone would be offended.
Yes, I agree, but I feel like we should do it more often.
You're right. You're right.
And not because I feel like we make it like it's a bad thing.
Hmm.
Because it's like that's what you are. Like if I like say we met, right? And it's like week 2. And then like I'm out and my mom was like, "Oh, hi." And I'm like, "Oh, hi. Like this is Whitney." I'm gonna just be like, "This is Whitney." Cuz I don't you're
Yeah.
not my friend. So I think that we like put pressure on ourselves when we could just be like, "Oh, hey, this is Whitney." I don't think
Right.
you have to say cuz like do you have to say that who they, like a title?
I
We
don't
I
think
feel like
so.
we do it.
Yeah,
It's
I think we do it. And I think, I don't know what's happening with my headphone. It doesn't want to be here. I think we do it because you almost feel like you don't want to be in limbo with anyone. And I think that that's like a real um I think that's a real feeling for people. They
yeah,
themselves don't like being in limbo. And so you don't want to put anyone else in that situation where they feel like they're an in between in your life.
yeah.
But I do feel like it's more responsible to actually be honest about where you are with someone than to
Yeah.
um mislabel them or give them kind of a title that they haven't, I don't want to say earned.
No, but I think that's true, and I don't think we are okay with like the in between, but like we are, and I think that's where like this false, I don't know, like false expectations, unrealistic expectations. Because if I just met you, you are a stranger. You are okay, not
True.
a stranger. You are an acquaintance.
Right.
So an
Right.
acquaintance is just that. Like I don't have the same expectation as a friend that I do
Yeah.
you, and that's okay. I
Right.
think sometimes we make things way more difficult than we have to.
I think most of that is because we don't know how to be friends. Like, I think, and I'm sure we'll get more into that, but I think that I think friendship, once you get to a certain age, becomes less important to most people. And so we stop trying to develop that muscle and that skill of friendship. And so we no longer know how to be a friend to someone, or what friendship requires and the dedication that you actually have to put into it. And so we just do it willy nilly. If it feels like we're friends, if we've laughed together a few times, it's like, that's my friend. It's like, girl, that's not your friend. You
You
don't
don't
know
even
her.
know them. You don't even know them. Okay, so how do you feel about low maintenance friendships?
Um, I'm gonna find the nicest words I know. Low maintenance friendships
Hmm.
should be thrown in the trash. That's the nicest way I could say it. That's all I had. Um, I say that because it's like, that's an oxymoron. The word friendship itself, like, it is a relationship.
Hmm.
No one is going to look at their spouse and say, I love my low maintenance husband. I love my low maintenance child. Like, nobody is going to
Yeah.
desire a low maintenance partner, child, parent, like someone that you don't have to do a lot. Like, that just sounds so odd. So don't know why we would put that or allow that in our friendships. I think I understand the sentiment, but to me it devalues what friendship is to call it low maintenance,
Hmm.
and to say that I'm okay with talking with you when I can,
Yeah.
um finding time somewhere in the next 180 days to see you, like that. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? I
Yeah.
I I I am not a fan of low maintenance friendships, and I don't desire them. I don't desire to be a low maintenance friend, and I don't want low maintenance friendships.
Yeah. So, okay, my question then for you is like, not where, why do you think that this is like the thing now? Like, because I feel like it was already like happening, but people weren't just talking about it. But like, why do you think this is now the thing? Like, oh, I don't have time. That's the one that kind of send me over a little bit. Like, I don't have time. It's too time consuming. So, where do you think that this came from?
Yeah. You know, honestly,
Hmm.
I think that we are in a what's the word I'm looking for? I think we are in a crisis of like busyness. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like everybody thinks that they're not doing enough. Um, and everybody feels like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think everyone feels like they have to do something um ultra significant with their life.
Yeah.
That they need to produce some grand thing or create this legacy that is um going to be like remembered for generations. And
Yeah.
because so many of us are operating under that premise of like, I've got to do this great thing, we busy ourselves with all of the things to get us there. Whether it's, our careers or trying to, find the right lifestyle and make sure we have the house and the spouse and the 2.5 kids and the dog. Like we're chasing all of these things, and unfortunately when you're that busy,
Hmm.
something has to get cut out.
Yeah.
We have discovered that our health is really important, where I think in previous generations health was the thing that they sacrificed a lot, like working out,
Mhm.
taking care of themselves, self-care. That wasn't a focus. We've discovered you have longer life when you take care of your body and take care of your mind and
Right.
all of those things. So we've really poured into self-care, but something had to go. And
Mm.
unfortunately, I think friendship was the thing that we decided had to go.
That's really good. I never thought about like, okay, what was being sacrificed prior.
Yeah,
But because that's how our conversations go.
they do.
But I wanna like challenge that. Okay. So maybe not health, but mental health was sacrificed.
Sure.
Which okay, mental health is part of it. But like so because like think about our parents, like, they were doing more labor intensive
Sure.
jobs. So I could see, yeah, mental health because like I feel like that just became like a thing, and I'm
Mhm.
not even gonna get on us and mental health.
Right.
But
Different conversation.
okay, okay. So you feel like we're sacrificing. So then where did we lose then the value of friendship? Because like when I look at, and I think we might have talked about this before, but like, did you see your parents have like friendships? Okay, like, do we just not think that people are valuable because everybody's not married, everybody doesn't have kids, and even if you are married with kids, like, you still need those relationships. In my mind, I think it's
Sure.
important. So it's like, where did it lose its value? I I have a theory, but I want to know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a lot of thoughts here because I think it is there are some cultural differences, I think.
Hmm.
Um I think there are some even like regional differences based
Okay.
on like are you in a more rural area, are you in a city, all of those sorts of things. To answer your first question, I did see my ironically my dad had the most friends out of my
Mm.
parents.
I want to hang out with him. So
I know y'all are besties, and I want to be friends with your dad because like our dads are cool guys. Sorry, they're just cool.
they
It's the
are.
musician in them. That's what it is.
It is.
So my dad, because he was a musician, because he was
Yeah.
in a band and traveling, there was always a lot of like um opportunities for him to meet new people. And so I
Right.
did see my dad have a lot of friends. Like he had set like a few best friends that like
Hmm.
I grew up like they were like my uncles and all of that
Hmm.
sort of stuff. My parents they weren't we would host things at the house sometimes, like people would
Yeah.
come over, they would play cards, we would have different things. So yeah, I did get to see a lot of friendship in my parents and my brother.
Mhm.
I have a brother and a sister. They are socialites. I'm their weird sister. And so I had friends by proxy. Like
Okay.
I didn't have a lot of friends, but my siblings, if we
Mhm.
walk into a store, it
Everybody
takes
knows them.
2 hours to get through Walmart because my brother literally is gonna dap up at least
Everybody.
the first 96 people we see.
Mhm.
And so I was surrounded by people where friendship was really important. And so I think being a person who hasn't always had a large friend group, I've always been intrigued by it. And
Right.
so I think where we started seeing a disconnect. This is about to be a little bit of a rabbit hole, so go with me.
It's
Um,
okay. I'm
I
for it.
think what happens uh, on some level is we all became very safety conscious
Okay.
because of a lot of like world events. I think about here in America, I work in higher ed, and a lot of people wonder why like parents are so helicopter on their kids. And I'm like, you have
Mhm.
to think about after 9/11, life in America radically changed. I
It
remember
did.
my dad going to the airport when I was like 8, and we walked him
Mhm.
to the gate. Like,
We did.
I had no boarding pass, but I'm at the
Yeah.
gate. I'm at the gate.
Yes.
And I'm sure like you remember that. And so there was this
Yes.
level of access, there was this level of like freedom that existed in
Yeah.
America that post 9/11 the world drastically changed. Everyone became a little more fearful. Everyone became a little more private. People are kind of like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
There were other incidents I think of like violence and things that definitely contributed to that. And so people became more concerned about their immediate family, their immediate household, to the
Mhm.
point that it was like you don't want all these people over your house. You don't know if they're safe, stranger danger, all of those, different things
Right.
where I'm not out on my lawn meeting my neighbor. I live in
Yeah.
the South, so I did see a little bit of that. But now even living in the South, I couldn't tell you who a single one of my neighbors is. And
Yeah.
so I think our concern for safety was the first thing that kind of started eroding away that kind of desire for meeting strangers and getting to know people and making friends.
Yeah, like just speaking to your neighbor, like know who your neighbor is. And I do think safety is a part of that. But I
Yeah.
also think that what has been reinforced because of social media is like the me. Like I gotta think about me first. I gotta think about me first.
I gotta put me first.
It's so
I
sad.
gotta put me first.
Yeah, and it's like our moves, we're reaping the like benefits of us thinking about us first.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's we always hear when you like everything that because I like started to go and look at all of the ones that are talking about friendship and what and low maintenance. Every time I heard was, I don't have time. I don't want nobody to call me. Like, if you're doing that, you're being clingy, you're
Yeah.
being needy. And I
Yeah.
think that we've forgotten that like we do need each other. Um, and so yeah, it's just like I think that we're missing like that we do need to do life with people. And like I don't think people realize like that's why people are lonely. Like, so you just in your house all day talking to yourself? I asked you about like had you seen like your parents or somebody in your life like walk out friendship. So what is your definition of friendship? And like do you think that we're defining friendship based upon like highlight reels of social media?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think when we decided we were going to have this conversation, it's one of the things that I started like evaluating is what do I consider friendship? You know
Right.
this over the last like few years. One of my friends coined it this. He was like, "Your sitcom friendship ended." I really did have like a sitcom type group of friends where we were like guys and girls, and we were like, it was literally like a sitcom. And then it was like
Was
the
that
shows
was a nice.
split, and now there's no crossover episodes, but we're trying, we're working on it. And so I've been really in like a friendship, like as a result of that, and trying to like figure out
Yeah,
how do you like recover when your friendships, like people move or people, like y'all kind of grow apart. You start questioning everything about friendship when those sorts of things happen. And so I think
for sure.
as I'm looking at friendship, I'll give you what I used to define friendship as. I think I thought
Okay.
friendship was um, a connection with people who were like minded, who had similar interests, and who believed what I believed about the world. That felt
Mhm.
like, my sitcom friends, like we were great. We lived near each other. We, went to the same church. We had all of the commonalities. And so if you were to um place me in a room with them, if you removed one of us, you would still kind of get the same thoughts if you were to ask a question, because we were very, very similar people. And so to
Okay.
me, that was what friendship was. It's like, yeah, we need to think alike. We need to be very, very like-minded. I think in this season of my life, I am
Mhm.
discovering that friendship is about connections with people who desire to know you as you are. You don't have to always have the same thoughts, beliefs, ideas about
Mhm.
things. There just has to be a
Mhm.
desire to say, "Hey, I see you and I want to know you like exactly as you are.
Mhm.
I'm not here to change you. I'm not here to ask
Mhm.
you to fit this mold of what I think you should be. I just want to know you
Mhm.
as you are." And I think thinking about it in those terms has helped me be very slow to call people friends.
Mm, that's so good.
Thanks, friend.
But let me tell you how I'm not like that.
It's hard. You listen, you haven't had your sitcom friendship yet. Once I'm just kidding.
No, I have. I have. So okay, both of us. Like this I feel like you kind of started before me, but like this year's been like
Yes,
what is this?
girl.
This is the ghetto. Um so I will agree with you. The initial definition of your friendship is what I've had like since I feel like middle school.
Yeah.
Um and it carried over definitely high school and then adult friendships. It has recently changed. Um and I think how when you brainstorm, I think I'm on a working definition. I don't have a
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't have a
ask me next
solid.
week.
I don't have a solid. Um I will say something that you said that it's something that like I have been actively working on and I definitely agree on is because of my nature of me. And I also think this is what like ties into people wanting low maintenance friendships is if you are somebody that is a high achiever
Mhm.
or someone who wants the best for people, it is very easy to adapt as I say to my therapist, a captain save a whole mentality
Yes.
where you want because you see the best in people, so you're always actively trying to even not you're not aware of like change them.
Yeah.
And then that's where I feel like feeling drained and having a one-sided friendship comes in, because you feel like you're doing all the work, and
Yeah.
people can then find themselves like being okay with being saved all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think that brings about frustration and burnout. So I would definitely say that is something that I no longer want to do.
Sure.
Um, but that also means it kind of adjusts in what I want.
Right.
Um, because not to say that people can't evolve, but I do want people to be like reasonably sure about who they are, even if they desire to change later. Because, I feel like I change my mind often. Um, so I think that then lends to, I don't think we as a group of adults are okay with our definition of friendship. And I would like to ask you then, do you think that we're basing our like friendships and relationships off of how we were in college? Because like, think about it. I feel like we didn't have to be inconvenienced in college, because we are living this social experiment of we're all in the same space. We all are meeting at the same time. We're going to the same thing. So do you think that we just not haven't grown into like adult friendship, even though we think we have?
Yeah. I think college friendships, and if my college friends are listening to this, I love you guys. You're awesome and amazing. But college friendships to me are the definition of low maintenance friendship. It
Mm,
doesn't require a lot of effort
mhm.
to maintain a friendship when you live, work, and play right around people.
Yeah.
Um, and that's really not a bad thing.
No.
An aside, Shivawn and I are currently, well, I am, we're waiting on Shivawn's book to materialize, are reading this book called Walkable City,
Mhm.
and it talks about that. It talks about the difficulty in maintaining friendships when every interaction requires an invitation, meaning that you're so far away from each other that one of you or both of you has to drive to get to where you're going or take some sort of transportation to meet up.
Yeah.
College is low maintenance in the true sense because there's not a lot of effort. Everybody's mostly going to the calf. Most people are going to go to the game.
Right.
Fridays, we're on the yard. Like all of those
Right.
things that's low maintenance. And
Yeah.
it works because that's how it's designed to work.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of us, yeah, we haven't evolved beyond that because we go from college that is designed for you to be around each other into lives that are drastically different. Most of
Yeah.
us, even if we stay in the city, our immediate friends don't live close to us, but most of us are moving into the suburbs. Most
Yeah.
of us are moving where we're spaced out away from people. We're not having those chance encounters where we're bumping into folks every day. And so our lives are not designed to maintain friendship. And so we haven't
Mhm.
evolved to say, okay, now that my life is not set up for me to like see my people every day, how do
Right.
I become more intentional in making sure that I do? And I think it's like I said, I think it's one of those things that because that's hard,
Mhm.
um, and especially if you are a person who, you're wanting to get married or you're looking to date and all of those things, that takes
Mhm.
precedence. And it's like,
Mhm.
girl, I can't be out here trying to find me a boo and trying to keep up with you. That's too many keep up with. I need to
Mm.
focus on one thing. One of these things feels a little bit more important than the other.
Right.
So people are having to make the hard choice. Um, and friendship just, I feel like in so many instances, it just gets pushed to the bottom of the list of to-dos. Like we intend to, but we don't put any action to our intention.
That makes me sad.
Me too, friend. Me too.
It makes me sad because it's just like I don't like it,
Yeah.
because I get it. Like, does life happen? Absolutely. I just think that we don't realize we're going to get older,
Yes.
and
Everybody's gonna be Golden Girls.
life is going to slow down. and you're going to be lonely because it's going to be you and your spouse and that's it, you know?
Yeah,
Cuz your kids are going to they're going to be living their life and they're going to come and see you on the weekends and holidays.
maybe.
If that, right? Um so I just think that we also reinforce that by like I don't like we look down at like just older people and we don't want to hear anything from them. Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It makes me sad because I feel like I'm watching a train wreck
Yeah,
because everybody is just like, "Oh, I'm busy. I am so busy." And I have been thinking about this like, but are you busy doing the right thing? Because I feel like we are filling our calendar up with stuff that we really should be saying no to because um we're trying to be somebody that we're not
yeah,
supposed to be.
yeah,
Or even some things that we're striving for, like if we had community, we wouldn't have to work as hard. And I just think that like our inability to be vulnerable and get don't get me wrong, like listen, I now have said like, hey God, you're gonna have to like let me know that these are good people to be friends because like no, I've had some really jacked up stuff happen,
sure.
but it doesn't stop me, you know, like from wanting healthy friendship. So
Yeah. It makes me sad too. I think you hit it on the head of like you're going to get older, life is going to change. And I think it's something that I think a lot about is am I creating a life today that's like sustainable for the road ahead? And and to be honest with you, I came into this year like that was a big focus for me. Like, what sort of life am I creating for myself? And I think at the end of this year, I probably will call this year the mirror because I'm
mhm.
telling you, every person I've met has been a reflection back of the foolishness that I've been doing to others. I apologize.
Mhm.
But what I've been able to see is like I have been focused on Whitney. I've been focused on what Whitney wants to accomplish, what Whitney needs, how she's going to get there. Are you going to help me get there? Or are you a hindrance? And like this year has been so good to say, no, I like inconvenience me. Call me at a time that feels like it's not the right time. Send me a text. Ask me, can you come see me? Like, that's the life I desire for myself. And a year ago, I would have been like, please never show up at my house. Like, that's how I'll die. Like, don't do
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I really want a life where people who I love and who love me know, like, you are a part of me. You are a part of my life. And you can inconvenience me. There is
Yeah.
nothing that I'm doing that's that deep and important that you can't just, pick up the phone and call me or say let's go do something spontaneous. And so I think until that becomes true for people, mm, they're going to keep winding up in their older years with unfortunately regrets because when you talk to old people, I know everybody's heard this, but like nobody on their deathbed says, I wish I would have did one more email. I wish I would have, went to one more business lunch. They're like, I wish I would have taken more risk. I wish I would have spent more time with people I love. All of those things that we know, but it's like we can't make it real in our heart. And I don't know why.
Mm. Cause we spend so much time online. And this is something that I saw. I think I sent it to you, and I was like, we have to talk about this. I tried to go through all of our texts, and it
Girl,
was
how?
I listen. I was reading. I was like, see, this is why I sent audio because then I can go and click and read it and skim and be like, oh no, this is not it. Um, but it was by. Let me pull it up real quick. It was by it's Tracy G. You know what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about? I'll send it to you. But she said, it's interesting to me that there are so many of us that say we're too exhausted to nurture, maintain the relationships we have beyond a screen, but somehow find energy to nurture the engagement we have on these platforms. Online community online communities can be authentic and beautiful, don't get me wrong, but they can also be a sneaky form of avoidance and escapism. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think um I think the internet um in its infancy, especially social media, when you think back to MySpace, I don't know if y'all were MySpace people, but I was a MySpace person,
Yes,
Black
I
Planet,
was.
all of the OGs.
Yes, you had your top five.
Oh my gosh. And it was like, it was like America's Next Top Model at school the next day. Did you make the cut or not?
Right, because I
Only
would
one
change
person
it.
can go on. One of you
Mm-hmm.
is gonna go but I think when you look back at those initial years of social media,
Mm-hmm.
it was designed to bring us together. Like
Yeah.
it was like, let's find ways that we can talk in chat rooms. Let's, talk, let's make our top 8, let's share. And then let's take this conversation offline. It was never like,
Mm-hmm.
let's stay in
Let's
this like
stay
virtual
here.
bubble.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
not designed for that, but now it is. They
Mm-hmm.
want you online more and more. They want your eyes on their platforms. And I mean, this is a conversation for a different podcast, but it's all about trying to sell you something. And I
Yeah.
think if we were to understand that the purpose of social media is no more for social interaction, but it is like for you to be a consumer, you would understand why you feel unconnected to people. It's like
Mm,
the purpose has changed. And when the purpose changed, we kept trying to make fetch happen. Like it's not. Get off of it. It's not designed for that anymore. Um, but it's easy. It's so
yeah.
easy. I do it with my friends all the time, and I have to catch myself
Mm-hmm.
to see people post their achievements in their life updates, to put a heart on it, to say, yes, girl,
Yeah.
yes. And like never have a face-to-face phone call conversation about it whatsoever. And I
Yeah.
and there's this false feeling of, yeah, I did my part. Checked on my
Right.
girl, checked on my strong friend, you know? But it's like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
didn't. You didn't give them like tangible connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you see it a lot when, we're getting older, so people's parents and grandparents and things are passing away. And I think you're starting to see that the connection is not genuine, it's not real, because when someone has a loss and the only way that people show up is with the I'm praying for you in the comments, that
The
don't do
praying
it
hands.
for people. That don't
The
help
praying
people.
hands me. Look, that's it. It won't no prayer.
That was
That
the
was
prayer. That was
that
the
was the
prayer for
prayer.
you.
That was
but
the
you
prayer.
but you see it, like people come back from that and they're like, man, I feel like nobody was there for me. And it's like you can
Yeah.
go to their page, you see 896 comments,
Yeah.
but in their heart, they feel like nobody was there because we weren't. And
Yeah.
people, well, I shared the post, I liked it, I commented, I even subscribed to your YouTube channel. But where were you when I needed you? you know?
Not get
You
subscribed
know,
to
fool.
that.
Fool. But it's real. Like you
Yeah.
can't fake real connection. You just can't. As
Yeah.
much as you want to try, you can't fake it. And so um you can't avoid doing the real work of friendship. As much as easy as social media is, you cannot avoid the very real work of being someone's actual friend.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's it. I think literally thinking about it, I think that's what we want to do.
Mhm.
We want to avoid the work because, like, we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to be inconvenienced. We don't want to be considerate. And I think that's the part that's like kind of rough because it's like you were saying, if you're my friend and I love you and like I care about you, you have the right to inconvenience me. And I don't mean because I know people be like boundaries, like okay, all of that into consideration for
We
saying
love that too.
healthy, healthy friendship. But like no, because it's like yes, we have the Lord, okay? I'm not saying, but like, who do you talk to like when there's something great going on? Or who do
Mhm.
you talk to when it's like rough? And I think that I just don't think that we know what that looks like because our only point of reference is if it was college or even church, and I have my own theory about that, and I won't even go there. But
Yeah.
it's like in this bubble. So like as long as it's in this bubble, but once it goes outside of that, like I'm no longer in college. I am no longer, maybe I don't go to your church anymore. So
Right.
now to me that is the test. Because like, yeah, we do have to get in this car. And yeah, I do have work. And yes, I work to whatever time. But then it's like, okay, am I only saving my time for the weekend to rest? That's kind of whack.
Yeah. And I think it boils down to like when you think about it, that's not quality of life anyway. Like I started feeling like I was on Groundhog Day. Like I was just doing the same stuff over and over. And I mean, it's as early as like last week, I was feeling that. And then this week, my dad retired this week.
Oh, you
Shout out to
didn't
my
tell me
dad. I
that.
know, I forgot to put it in my weekly update. He retired 42 years. We thank God. Um, but I was like, I'm driving home to see my dad on his last. I want to walk him out on his last day of work. And even like that was an inconvenience. I had to drive an hour away. I had to get my dog. We had to do all these things. But I was like, no, I'm showing up for my dad in this. Like this is his last day of work. And most of that work was to provide for who? Your girl. And
Yeah,
so I was like, no, I'm gonna do this. This is not convenient. This is not the easiest thing I could do after work, but I'm a grown person and I get to decide how I'm going to invest my time. And this
yeah,
is better than me coming home and being a robot and doing the same thing that I do every day, rinse, wash, repeat.
yeah.
And when I came back home that night, I felt so full. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I need more spontaneous, random
Yeah.
connection points in my week. That's why when I get to Saturday, I'm so tired because I'm literally like a robot. I'm just doing the same stuff every day. And so
Hmm.
I have a question for you.
Okay, shoot. What you got?
So I will say this, like I think I've said this to you before. You have
Hmm.
really been a very good model of friendship for me. I think no, you really
Some people
have.
would listen to some people would listen to this and say,
It's okay. It was for me. Okay. It's because you're not me. No, I'm just kidding. But I really do. Like I talk about this a lot and I talk to my friends about this. Like
Mhm,
I think you have been such a good friend for me to like learn how to be a friend with,
mhm.
in my like reinvention of being a friend.
Yeah,
What what is it for you that makes like the intentionality, the like I'm gonna check in on you, like I haven't heard from you, where you at? Like
yeah.
what makes you do that for people? And have you always been that person or is that something that you've developed like over time?
Such a very good loaded question.
Sorry for that.
Um, no, it's okay. It makes me think about it. So I would say, like growing up, like young. So like when I think about first friendships, because I had like best friends that I grew up with,
Mhm.
um, I would say no. Like, and the only reason I'm saying no, because like, okay, when you're young, it's like it's surface because you don't know.
Yeah.
But I think no, because I was trying to be what I thought they wanted.
Mhm.
Like I was trying to fit in because I was always very quiet. Like people don't expect that because they see me like online. And I'm like, listen, I gotta boost myself up sometimes. But yeah, no, I was very quiet. And then when I got to college, I feel like I still morphed into like who people as our people group like thought because like they were super loud. So that I was like, oh, okay, let me adapt to this. So I would say like no, I wasn't a good friend then because I wasn't myself.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel like I could be myself. Um, And then the more that I started to like kind of recognize like who I was, I think that I got like the worst case scenarios in friendship.
Yeah.
Like I experienced a lot of, well, one of my things I don't like online is when people cry on stuff, and I feel like I'm like almost there.
I'm sorry, I didn't
But
mean to make you cry, friend.
but I feel like I got the most like lessons on friendship of like being rejected and being betrayed
Yeah.
and being like cast out of like my friend group.
Mhm.
And I think that not knowingly, I kind of started to be like, I want people around me to feel seen and I want them to feel
Mhm.
heard. And I don't want to ever be the friend that purposely like hurts somebody.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of how it started, but then it became very people pleasing. Like
Mhm.
I'm always there. I'm always like doing these things. And then I'm also not accepting like it back
Mhm.
or dismissing when people just, oh, it's okay. Like they don't do it for me. It's okay. Um, and I think that it's evolved into like this year even more of like, no, like I am kind because I wanted to like revert and be like, no, I'm going to go back to be like a mean girl. I'm cool with that. I was like, you can't hold B doing seated with strangers and a mean girl. But it was like safety. It was like my defense mechanism. But it is now a lot more healthy in the fact of like, no, I no longer expect people to be like me, but I do have an expectation for like kindness and
Mhm.
consideration. It doesn't have to look like me. So yeah, I think it came from a place of like, I didn't I did not have good experiences with like women friendships. Like I had great guy friendships, like hands down. Like even some of them now, I have not talked to them in years. And if I called and said, "Hey, I need help," there, and not even on some like they're trying to talk to me, because
Yeah.
Um, so I just looked at it like, how are we whole women, and like we're not showing up for each other
Mm.
unless it's like related to getting the bag or an event or a photo op.
Mhm.
And so I feel like it's a lot of me, but I also feel like it's also a lot of the Lord, where He's like, I'm not, I need you to like demonstrate it
Mhm.
because like people don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think I will say I think it's very evident that there's intentionality. I mean, y'all don't know this, but Shivawn and I every Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, because we don't know the days of the week, but we always
We don't know
intend
today.
to. It's just because we don't know what day it is. Every day is today.
Right.
But we have started doing like a weekly check-in with each other where we just kind of like voice note each other, tell each other what's going on. And sometimes like I be about to cry when I think about our little voice notes because like I'm like, this is the friendship of my dreams. Because I've always really desired like someone who was like a friend in like true presence. Not just
Yeah.
we're friends when we see each other, like we catch up,
Yeah.
every now and then, but I am a person who likes steadiness in a lot of ways. I just like
Yeah.
consistent
Yeah.
steadiness from people. And I haven't had a lot of that in a lot of areas of my life. And so, while we're on Seated with
Yeah.
Strangers, I have to give you your flowers and tell you like your friendship is consistent and I appreciate it. And you my girl for life. If she tries to get rid of me, I'm just gonna show up on the podcast and be like, now I'm a stranger, we'll be friends again.
I cannot with you. Yeah, no, I just think it's important. I feel like, you know how people always ask, like, be what you needed when you were like younger. And I did. Like, I needed healthy friendship. Like,
Yeah.
man, one day no, I'm not gonna be able to ever write the book. But one day, if I ever told you like the stuff that I've endured in friendship, you'll be like,
Yeah.
and you like people?
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
like people? It's, yeah. Yeah, I just know, and I think that's the part of me that is like sad for people, because I
Mhm.
know that that's also people's motive of like low maintenance friends, because
Sure.
you don't want to be disappointed. You
Yeah.
don't you don't want to be hurt. You don't want to be taken advantage of. So it's just easier to keep people at a what is that, arm's distance. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it too. I
I get it.
understand it. But I will
Hmm.
say I think it's worth the risk. I was thinking about this earlier. Somebody that I'm not friends with anymore, like we randomly like commented on something on Facebook. Why was I on Facebook? Pray for me. But we like randomly commented on the same thing and we kind of like, had a little exchange. And I was like, like thank God for growth because even in that, like someone who we're not friends anymore, like we still can see each other and see that like as a person you just deserve that loving kindness. And so
Yeah.
I think we have to take the risk because I was thinking about
Yeah.
like even though our friendship ended, like
Hmm.
I was laughing we ended up laughing about something in that post that like we used to do together. And I
Hmm.
was like, man, like we used to really have a good time doing that. And even though we don't do it anymore, like it's still
Yeah.
funny. It still like will bring me to like almost tears laughing.
Yeah.
That's the risk. Like it might not work out. It might not be like a forever thing, but that's
Hmm.
life. Like you have this like moment in time that you can always look back to and focus on that good part of it, the part that filled you up, that fueled you. And that's what life is. It's just a series of memories and moments that you try to make. And if you don't take that risk, you don't get that.
That's really good. I'm glad that you gave that perspective, because I'm the cutoff
That was
queen.
got it today. It's okay. You know.
Because I'll be like, I'm gonna tell you happy birthday on here. That's all I got for you.
Oh, I didn't be doing
But no, that is,
better than me. I feel like, "It's your birthday?" I don't know because I blocked you. Uh,
but that perspective is good, because I do think that's important. That even though it didn't work out, you still got good memories. This girl, I cannot.
we we got the good time. I
I'm
do
done.
people. I love people, but I don't wanna see you in Jesus' name.
I'm, I'm done. Okay, so I have a surprise for you.
Uh-oh.
Um,
I'm
so
nervous.
it's so funny. I was like, this girl right here is so aggy. So on this season, you'll hear that everybody gets virtual flowers. And I said, she
Hmm.
has some nerve to give me some flowers. I said, get some of my nerves. However, they are not from me. They are from somebody that knows you.
Oh, you're trying to make me cry.
So this says, um, let me stop being silly. All right. Wit, my bestie cousin, what's good? Just wanted to take some time to tell you how amazing you are. From ponytails to protective styles, you have always been one of the most dynamic people I know. I am so thankful to have you in my life. If I'm ever stuck, you have the ability to help me flow. You also may be the only person in the world who loves church more than me. That really just shows you how much you love God. Just want you to know my life wouldn't be as full as it is without you. I can't wait to see what you do next. No matter what, I will be right there to support you. Love you, Dietrich, aka, do you call him Deet? Is it Deet? Are you over there crying? I looked up and see you.
I cry at commercials. God.
Oh gosh. Well,
Oh, man.
those are your virtual flowers, friend.
That's wonderful.
Listen, this season I've been working overtime. I be having to jump in people's DM like, listen, I am not trying to be weird. This person is coming on the podcast.
you.
And
Words of affirmation is my lowest love language because I think it makes me uncomfortable.
oh, I'm
Um,
glad that it made you uncomfortable.
yes, it's the one I'm working on the most this year. So thank you. That was beautiful.
Share this. I am trying to get y'all to do better this season with like actually also having conversations with your friends about this because I don't think we know what people think. We just assume. So have a conversation with your friends. Of course, share it. And we will see you next time on Seated with Strangers. Oh, yeah. And you need to come to a dinner party.